Today we'll be discussing the history and policies on E. coli and how exactly Shiga toxins cause the foodborne illness that is infamous to most of us.
So what are Shiga toxin-producing E. coli? Shiga toxin-producing E. coli, also known as STEC, are a specific subset of E. coli that make a toxin called a Shiga toxin. As defined by Kiyoshi Shiga, Shiga toxin is the agent of epidemic bacterial dysentery and can also cause kidney failure. There is currently no available treatment for disease caused by STEC, which is part of what makes it so dangerous. The Shiga toxin works to inhibit protein synthesis, eventually leading to cell death, also known as apoptosis, especially of the vascular epithelium. The most common STEC in the U.S. is E. coli 0157. When E. coli outbreaks are discussed on the news, the outbreak is most commonly caused by STEC, specifically E. coli 0157.
So now that we know what Shiga toxin-producing E. coli are, we can now discuss the history and when these STECs were discovered. Shigella dysentery, the dysentery bacillus, was discovered by Japanese physician and bacteriologist Kiyoshi Shiga in 1897. This bacillus is what produces the Shiga toxin found in the STEC. During the time of Shiga's discovery, an epidemic of this disease was running rampant in Japan, with more than 90,000 cases reported and a mortality rate of almost 30%. The discovery of the Shiga toxin-producing E. coli was made when Shiga was able to isolate the Shigella bacillus from 36 patients at the Institute for Infectious Diseases. He discovered the Shiga toxin-producing E. coli was the cause of this disease by simple agglutination methods. Agglutination is the clumping of particles. It is a process that occurs if an antigen is mixed with the corresponding antibody, and this is called isoagglutination. It's also commonly used in blood grouping. Even though Shiga discovered this toxin in 1897, and it was known to be very dangerous, we didn't have many regulations on it until 1993, when the infamous Jack in the Box outbreak occurred. The next video clip will show a little more background on this outbreak.
A fast food nightmare may be getting worse.
Hundreds of hospitalizations have been traced to contaminated hamburgers.
2 children have died and dozens are hospitalized.
It was one of the worst food poisoning outbreaks in U.S. history. Contaminated meat at Jack in the Box restaurants killed 4 children and alerted the country to the hidden dangers in our food.
What do we want? Clean meat!
Recalls of contaminated food in this country have increased 5-fold.
Tainted spinach, contaminated cantaloupe,
Unpasteurized apple juice.
More than 20 years later, tens of millions of Americans still get food poisoning each year.
Just a couple of bites, that's all it took.
And some say progress hasn't been fast enough.
We need, I hate to say it, but bodies in the street before we get it.
So now we're going to look into when STEC was declared an adulterant. An adulterant is a substance found within other substances such as food, cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, fuel, or other chemicals that compromises the safety or effectiveness of said substance. Initially, STEC was declared an adulterant by the USDA Food Safety and Inspection Services in 1994 following the outbreak of tainted hamburgers sold at Jack in the Box. The contaminated burgers affected more than 700 people with 171 hospitalizations and 4 deaths. Other E. coli serotypes have been found to also produce the Shiga toxin. In 2010, it was petitioned that serotypes 026, 011, 0103, 0121, 045, and 0145 be classified with 0157 because their effects were analogous with those of 0157. Together, these serotypes are known as the Big 7 adulterants. These serotypes were officially banned from meat in 2011, so any meat that is found with any trace of these serotypes has to be thrown away.
So what exactly were the implications of declaring 0157 E. coli and other stereotypes of this nature adulterants and regulating them as much as we have now. Thankfully, the massive E. coli outbreak of 1993 in this Jack in the Box and the regulations put in place afterwards caused a huge wake-up call for most Americans, giving them a shocking example of what this pathogen can actually do to you. With this case becoming so prevalent in the public eye, many organizations were created to help regulate and solve the problems dealing with foodborne illnesses. One of these organizations became the Stop Foodborne Illness Organization, and it was formed by parents of the victims of the Jack in the Box outbreak. As these organizations began to fight for regulations on foodborne illnesses, Jack in the Box completely overhauled and restructured their corporate operations around food safety priorities, which set a new standard across the fast food industry for other companies. Parents of the victims were also able to discuss with important political forces such as President Bill Clinton, Vice President Al Gore, and other lawmakers to try and get more strict regulations in place for foodborne illnesses such as E. coli 0157.